家伙儿养了想咋咯？刚刚落住这你正着你担当大了噻，今年东跟这人手下了你的个老红子，刚到这边做了马的我们都等我来接噻。我做个啦，我就到这样啦，就这样等送就在这接着就没了，没接着着种子。马的我们在这等我来那个今年种子啦，这那么多年到早上进到所有的那做家这头，这早知道这年间这道路，我们在人家伙儿养啦，得的，我马拉巴扎那的，我马拉巴扎那的，我马拉巴扎那的，我马拉巴扎那的，马拉巴扎那的，马拉巴扎那。Mara bazana do mara bazana do mara bazana do mara bazana do mara bazana do 最等接近见了我在这接到了他们巴拉斯瓜当当就让路到巴一路住别那觉得苏罗了解见不做的你没想从你莫弄见不那家巴克的当刚赞度什么多，东巴的街将了上字路。各位法师、各位佛友，大家上午好。
Good morning to all ordained members of the audience and all Dharma friends here today.
我们现在开始讲今天上午的课。那么今天上午的课的内容呢，就是在这个现代生活中用佛法的修心怎么样利益每个人的心和身。
We are going to begin now with our teaching for today, and the topic for today's teaching is how to go about, in the midst of our contemporary lives, using Buddhist practice to benefit our minds and bodies.
现代生活就是一个非常非常浮躁的生活。
Contemporary life, our contemporary lifestyles are very restless, capricious lifestyles.
然后现代社会呢，也是一个非常复杂的社会。
And contemporary society is this way too.
这样子的这个生活当中，我们每一个人都必须要有精神支柱。
In the midst of an environmental society like this, everyone needs to have something they can spiritually or a spiritual support.
如果我们没有精神支柱那么我们的内心是空虚的。
If we lack a spiritual support, then our minds will be empty.
我们的精神，如果他找不到一个支柱，或者是我们不能给他一个支柱，这样子的话，那么他的心他就会感觉到非常的恐慌、恐惧。
If we are unable to provide our minds with, or our spiritual selves with some sense of support, then our minds will feel very fearful and anxious.
然后，如果我们的精神它没有一个支柱，这样子的话，它就会越来越浮躁，越来越暴躁。
And without some kind of spiritual support, our minds will become increasingly restless and reactive.
比如说我们就是走在一个很危险的路，比如说悬崖这样子的时候呢，我们必须要我们的手要抓住一个东西，有东西可以去抓，这样子我们的心里才会有安全感。
It's just like walking along or traveling along a very dangerous road, such as a road that is on a cliff. We need something that we can grab hold onto. Only this way can our mind have a sense of safety.
那么这个精神支柱 就是可以有两种不同的精神支柱。
In terms of supports for our mind, there are two different kinds.
第一个就是我们没有信仰的或者是没有佛教的信仰的人的精神支柱。
The first kind of support for the mind is one appropriate to people without religious faith or without faith in Buddhism in particular.
然后第二就是我们有信仰的尤其是有佛教的信仰的人的精神支柱。
And the second kind is that which is appropriate to people who do have religious faith or especially faith in Buddhism.
不管是有信仰没有信仰，每个人都需要精神支柱。
Regardless of whether we do have religious faith or not, every single person does need some kind of spiritual support.
就是当我们的身体它自己站不起来站不稳不能走路这样子的时候呢，我们需要依靠拐杖。
It's just the same as when our bodies are not able to stand up straight. They're not able to stand up straight in a stable way. It's necessary for us to lean on a stick.
然后我们每一天都面对这样子的一个非常浮躁的这个生活这个时候呢，我们的这个精神它也必须要找到一个依靠。
Given that every day we have to confront a life or a world that is as restless as it is, everyone does need some kind of support.
就像4岁5岁的小孩他必须要有这个依靠母亲就是他的依靠。如果他没有这个依靠他心里没有安全感。
It's just like a 4 or 5-year-old child who needs something to rely on. And for young children, that is their mother. Without their mother, they don't feel safe.
那我们的精神，我们的这个内心，也就像个3岁、4岁的小孩一样，他一定要找到一个可靠的一个依靠找到一个依处。
And our minds, in fact, are just like 3 or 4-year-old children. They necessarily need some kind of support, something to rely on.
他找到了这样子的依靠这个支柱，这样的时候呢，我们的内心才能够平静的下来，才会有安全感。
It's only once our minds have located such a source of support that they are able to calm down and derive a sense of safety.
首先我们必须要知道这一点。
So the first thing is for us to understand this.
比如说我们走路的时候必须要穿鞋没有鞋，如果光着脚走路的话，那么我们就是这个也会比如说走路的这个过程当中就是会遇到这个脚会受伤。
It's just as when we walk, we need to first put on shoes, because if we were to walk along the path barefoot, then we would hurt our feet.
那最早的时候人类不穿鞋的。
The earliest human beings did not wear shoes.
是光着脚走路的。
They walked everywhere barefoot.
后来就发现这样子的话就是很危险脚经常都会受伤。
But gradually they discovered that that was actually dangerous. By walking barefoot everywhere, feet would become injured.
然后人们就开始穿鞋。
And so human beings began to wear shoes.
最早的时候这个鞋是非常简单的。
But the very earliest shoes that were worn were very simple.
后来这个鞋就是做得越来越好，越来越好。
But with time, shoes became made increasingly well.
然后我们的内心如果它没有支柱，它没有依靠，就是我们光着脚走路一样。
And if they have no support or nothing to rely on, then our inner minds are just like walking barefoot.
就在任何时候、任何地方都会受到这个创伤。
At any time or in any place, our minds, without any support, might become injured.
那我们现在就像穿鞋一样，我们也就需要这个给我们的这个精神给它提供一个像鞋子一样可以能够保护它的东西。
So what we then need to do is, just like wearing shoes on our feet, we need to find for our mind something that performs the same function as shoes, that is something that protects our mind.
然后我们比如说我们的手不戴手套去干活我们的手也会受伤。
It's just the same as if we were to wear no gloves when we work, our hands would sustain injuries.
最早的时候呢也没有手套。
In the earliest times, there were no gloves.
后来就是发明了手套。
But in time, gloves were invented.
这个手套可以保护我们的手。
And these gloves were able to protect our hands.
同样的，我们的内心必须要有一个东西可以保护它的。
In exactly the same way, our inner minds need something that are able to protect them.
那我们没有信仰的时候，或者是我们没有任何的这个训练这个心理的训练这样子的时候呢，就是我们干活没有手套，走路没有鞋一样的。
Without any religion or without any training of the mind, then we are just like in a situation just as if we were doing work without gloves or walking without shoes.
然后我们的这个生活呢，就是因为这个物质发达了以后呢，就是越来越浮躁我们的精神压力就是越来越大。
Because of material progress, our lives have become increasingly unstable and or restless, and our pressures have become very great.
那这个就是我们除了我们没有鞋子以外，还要走一个非常不平的路一样的。
And this we can liken to not simply lacking shoes, but also having to traverse an extremely long and uneven path.
路不平，但是如果有鞋子可以保护我们的脚。
Even though the road is uneven and bumpy, if we did have shoes, they would be able to protect our feet.
这样子以后呢，我们大家就发现，我们必须要有精神支柱，必须要有精神的依处。
So it's at this time that people realize what we do need is some kind of spiritual support or something to rely on.
就是为什么就是这么多人去自杀为什么这么多人这个心里有这个各种各样的疾病，就是因为没有这个精神的支柱和依处。
The reason that so many people commit suicide and experience mental illness is precisely because they don't have a source of spiritual support or something they can spiritually rely on.
所以我们的这个意识，我们的心必须要有一个东西可以自我保护。
So our minds or our consciousnesses require something that enable them to self-protect.
如果没有这个自我保护的能力没有这个自我保护的能力这样子的话，很多时候都有可能我们的精神会崩溃。
If our minds do lack this capacity to protect themselves, then it's possible at any one time they may literally collapse.
那么这个精神的支柱精神支柱，我们应该找一个什么样的精神支柱呢？
So as to a spiritual support, what kind of spiritual support should we be looking for?
怎么样去寻找这个给我们的这个精神提供一个这个自我保护，能够自我保护的东西呢？
How should we go about locating something that is able to help our mind protect itself?
好，这个时候呢，我们就是需要一个非常非常了解我们的意识精神世界这样子的人我们要找到一个这样子的人，这样子的老师。
What we need to do is find for ourselves a person or a teacher who has a very great understanding and insight into the mind.
如果我们能够找到一个彻底的这个了解、精通我们的这个意识的这个状态这样子的人的话，那我们可以从他那里找到获得这个益处。
If we are able to locate someone who has a total understanding of the condition of the mind, then in that person we can find a source of support.
那么非常了解彻底的这个了解精通这个所有人的精神状态的那这样子的人有没有呢？有，这个就是佛陀，这就是释迦牟尼佛。
Is there any person who does possess such a complete and total understanding of the condition of everyone's mind? Yes, such a person does exist. It is the Buddha Shakyamuni.
第一个，我们的生活这么浮躁，然后呢，第二这个社会也就是很复杂。那这样子的时候呢，我们应该去听一听就是佛陀他的这个方法是什么我们去了解一下。
In a situation where our lives are as uncertain and society is as uncertain as it is, we should really listen to the Buddha's methods.
那么我们今天在座的应该都是佛教徒，这样子的话，我们就可以用这个佛教的这个正规的修行的方式来给大家讲这个怎么样去寻找这个益处或者支柱。
Because today everyone in the audience are disciples of the Buddha, we can use a Buddhist method or a traditional Buddhist method of teaching everyone how to go about finding a support.
然后今天我们这个道场呢就又是一个禅堂同时也是一个念佛堂。
So the Dharma Center today is a center for Chan practice. It's also a center for reciting the Amitabha Buddha's name.
念佛和修禅历来都是不矛盾的。
The practice of Chan and the recitation of the Amitabha Buddha's name are not contradictory practices.
然后这两个不但是不矛盾，而且两个都有这个互补就是相互可以帮助。
Not only are these practices not contradictory, they are in fact actually mutually complementing.
就像汉传佛教近代非常有影响，最有影响的大师之一就是虚云大师。
And this was the approach of a great contemporary Chinese Buddhist master, Master Xu Yun.
虚云大师在他的著作里面非常清楚的讲这个禅经双修禅定、禅和禅宗和这个净土完全是可以同时修。
In Master Xu Yun's written works, he explains very clearly that Chan and Pure Land practice can be practiced together.
在藏传佛教里面也是一样，禅跟这个净土修阿弥陀佛没有任何的矛盾。
And it's the same in Tibetan Buddhist too. There's no contradiction or conflict whatsoever between the practice of Chan and the practice of Pure Land.
比如说像藏传佛教的密宗就是所有的坛城所有坛城的这个佛里面的佛就是无方佛，无方佛。
So in the Tantric tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, the main deity of all mandalas is the Buddha of five directions.
这个无方佛就是密法里面的最重要的本尊一等。
And this particular Buddha, the Buddha of five directions, is the most important meditation deity or iddom in Tibetan Buddhism.
然后无方佛当中的这个西方的佛就是阿弥陀佛。
And of the Buddha of the five directions, there is a Buddha of the westerly direction, and this Buddha is the Buddha Amitayas or Amitabha.
所以这个密法的密宗的这个坛城里面都有阿弥陀佛，所有坛城里面都有阿弥陀佛。
So within all of the Tantric mandalas is Amitabha. The Amitabha Buddha exists in every mandala.
然后这个密宗里面呢阿弥陀佛当作本尊来修。
And in addition, Amitabha is also meditated on as an iddom or meditation deity in Tantric Buddhism too.
所以有阿弥陀佛的观定。
And so there are empowerments or tantric initiations for the Amitabha Buddha.
有阿弥陀佛的这个升起次第的修法。
There are generation stage practices for the Amitabha or Amitayas Buddha.
然后有各种各样的阿弥陀佛的这个本尊的修法。
And many different many different methods for meditating on Amitabha as a central deity.
然后持阿弥陀佛的咒，就是念阿弥陀佛的咒和阿弥陀佛的名号。
And there are also traditions of reciting the Amitabha Buddha's mantra and dharani.
然后这些，比如说像这个升起次第的修法然后这个里面呢也有禅定。
So within the generation stage practice of Amitabha, this also encompasses Chan practice.
所以禅跟阿弥陀佛的这个修法无论是藏传佛教、汉传佛教都不矛盾的。
So whether it is in Chinese Buddhism or in Tibetan Buddhism, the combined practice of Chan and Pure Land practice is not in conflict.
那么我们今天就讲一个禅和静一个双运的一个实际的修法。
So what we are going to teach on today is a meditation practice that combines Chan and Pure Land practice.
首先我们这个修禅之前有几个关于这个修禅的一些事情，先给大家这个阐述一下。
Before we actually begin to look at this practice, though, there's a few points in relation to meditation that I'd like to share with everyone.
然后这个我们今天讲的这个禅它既是阿弥陀佛的这个修法同时也是禅的修法。
So the meditation practice that I am going to share with everyone today is at the same time a Pure Land practice and a Chan practice.
然后我们每一天比如说最好每一天有1个小时到这个半个小时这样子的时间当中大家去修。
And it would be great if everyone could spend at least half an hour to 1 hour each day on this practice.
一方面我们可以念佛。
On the one hand, we can recite the Buddha's name.
一方面可以观想。
And at the same time, we can also visualize the Amitabha Buddha.
然后同时就是修这个极致禅定。
And at the same time also cultivate shamatha.
所以这个一个修法里面就包含了很多很多的内容。
So just within one practice, a lot of different content is encompassed.
那这个禅修的时候首先是我们的这个身体的姿势也是非常重要。
Before beginning to meditate, it is important for us to pay attention to our bodily posture.
这个关于这个身体的姿势呀，这些呢，我们曾经也就介绍过很多次，所以这个网络上都有的。今天我们不展开的讲，简单的可以给大家介绍。
Because I've talked or taught many times in the past on the bodily postures that we should adopt during meditation, I'm not going to go into it in great detail today. There do exist teachings on the internet that I've given in the past, so I'm just going to give a simple overview of the bodily postures that we should adopt now.
大家可以上这个慧灯之光的这个网里面就有很多的中文的这个禅修念佛呀这些方面的这些视频音频。
Everyone should feel free to go to the Huideng Zhiguang website. On this website, there's a lot of materials available in Chinese which deal with meditation methods, including Pure Land meditation methods.
然后也有这个英文的翻译的这样子的音频和视频。
And there are also videos in English translation as well.
所以如果我们想详细的了解的话，那就是可以在这个网上学习。
So if you'd like to gain a more detailed understanding of these things, then you can learn about them online.
今天我们给大家简单的介绍几个具体的方法。
But today I'd like to share with everyone a few concrete meditation practice methods.
首先这个身体的姿势就有7个不同的姿势，7个。
Regarding our bodily posture, there are 7 different points that we need to pay attention to.
这个身体的姿势呢，我们刚刚打坐的时候，或者是还没有在这个禅修上面呢，没有太高的境界，或者是还没有训练好的时候这身体的姿势是比较重要的。
When just beginning with meditation practice or until we've reached a relatively stable level of practice, paying attention to these 7 points is quite important.
然后我们有一定的这个功夫，这样子的时候呢，身体的姿势就怎么样都可以的。
But once we've reached a level of relative stability with our practice, then it's however we decide to meditate is okay.
首先第一个这个身体的7个姿势当中，第一个推要这样子盘腿。
So the first point is to sit cross-legged.
如果是因为各种各样的原因实在是不方便盘腿的话，那就坐在这个椅子上我们现在这样子去打坐也是可以，但是最好就是两腿做这个盘腿。
If it's not possible for you to sit in the full lotus position, then it's okay for you to sit on a chair, but it's preferable to sit cross-legged and, if possible, in the lotus position.
然后两个手就是做这个禅定的手印。禅定的手印呢这样子，请大家看这里。
And then, as for the second point, we should bring our hands into the meditation mudra. As for how we do this, please everyone look at me.
这样子，左手放在下面，然后呢，右手放上面。
So we place our right hand onto the top of our left palm.
然后两个大拇指这样子碰头。
And bring the tips of our two thumbs together.
然后就放在肚脐下面的4个手指这个地方。
And then bring our hands to a place approximately 4 finger widths below our navel.
然后这是第2、第3两个胳膊要这样子张开。
And then the third point is to sit with our shoulders open and relaxed.
这是第3、第4身体要端正。
The fourth point is to sit upright.
不能向左右、向前、向后外就是要端正。
So we should sit with a straight spine. We shouldn't be leaning to the left or right or front or back.
然后头稍微往前头稍微往前这样子。
And then our head should be slightly lowered. Our chin should be slightly lowered.
这是第5，这个是第5。
That's the fifth point.
然后平时我们的眼睛要往下，就是往前这样子看这个往前面的这个空间。
And then our gaze should be lowered. So we should be focusing our gaze on the space immediately in front of us.
但是有些时候呢，我们需要看佛像。那看佛像的时候呢，我们可以就看佛像，不需要往下看。
But in situations where we need to look at images of the Buddha for the purposes of our meditation, then it's not necessary to lower our gaze. We can look straight ahead.
这是第6。
That's the sixth point.
第7就是呼吸。呼吸不快不慢就是正常的这个呼吸。然后呢，从口腔、鼻孔同时呼，就是吸就是正常的呼吸。
And then, as for our breath, it's not necessarily to it's not necessary to regulate our breath, to deliberately speed it up or slow it down. We should just breathe through our nose and mouth as we usually do.
这个我们每一次打坐的时候要保持这样子的姿势。
So each time we meditate, we should maintain each of these points of posture.
为什么要这样子要做这样子的姿势呢？因为这样子的姿势就能够让我们的心平静下来。
Why is it that we do adopt these points of posture? Well, the reason is because it helps us bring our minds into a state of calmness.
所以我们没有太大的这个禅定的功夫的时候呢，尤其是这个姿势是很重要的。
So prior to achieving a level of stability with our meditation practice, these points of posture are very important.
好，这是身体的姿势。然后呢，第二要关注我们的这个呼吸。
So that they are the points of bodily posture. And then secondly, we need to pay attention to our breath.
关注这个呼吸的意思呢，就是说我们平时我们的这个生活当中，我们的内心当中就有产生各种各样的念头、杂念那这些杂念必须要清理了以后，清理干净了以后呢，才能够打坐，才能够静得下来。
So by saying paying attention to the breath, this is related to the fact that in the midst of our lives we give rise to all kinds of discursive thoughts. And in order to be able to meditate effectively, it's necessary that we cleanse our mind of these thoughts to begin with.
如果这些杂念没有清理，这样子的话，那我们的心里就是装的是满满的这个杂念，各种各样的杂念那在这种情况下去打坐的话，这个效果是一定不会很好的。
Because our minds will be really full of or brimming with different kinds of discursive thoughts if we fail to first cleanse it of them, our meditating in this state would not be very effective.
就比如说这个一个水桶水桶下面都是垃圾，然后把这个垃圾没有清理干净到水道里面，那么这个水是一定会受到污染。
So it's the same as a water bucket. If that bucket to begin with had rubbish at the bottom, then if we were to pour water on top of the rubbish, the water would become polluted or contaminated.
同样的，我们的这些杂念不处理的话，这个我们打坐就会受到影响。
In exactly the same way, if we don't first attend to the various thoughts in our mind to begin with, then our meditation will be impacted.
那么我们怎么样处理这个杂念呢？有3个方面，一个是身体的方法。
So in terms of dealing with or purifying these discursive thoughts, there are 3 methods. The first of them is relates to our bodily posture.
身体的动作
Or rather, our physical actions we do with our physical body.
然后第二就是呼吸。
Okay, so this method that we use for purifying our mind has 3 components. The first is an action that we do with our body. The second is how we breathe.
然后第三就是我们的观相。
And the third is a visualization that we combine with these things.
通过这个身体的动作，还有这个呼吸，还有观相这3个方面这三个一起来把我们的这些杂念这个清理干净。
By combining these 3 things, a physical action, a way of breathing, and a visualization, it's possible to cleanse or purify our mind of discursive thoughts.
然后再打坐的话，这个打坐的效果是比较不错的。
And if we then subsequently begin meditating after having done this, then our results will be somewhat better.
好，那么身体的动作是什么大家请看这里首先是我们的左手的动作。
So in terms of the actual physical action that we do, please everyone look at me. We raise our left hand.
然后我们的这个大拇指这个大拇指摁住这个倒数第二个手指的指根摁住。
And we press our thumb to the base of our fourth finger.
然后其他的4个手指做这样子的拳头。
And we fold our other fingers over our thumb and make a fist.
这个在密法里面呢叫做金刚拳头。
In Tantric Buddhism, this is referred to as a Vajra fist.
然后这个拳头呢我们的这个左腿右腿的腿根有动脉和经脉这个血脉就压住这个血脉上面。
And in the crease of the groin on our left and right sides is a channel point, and so we bring our fist into that point and press it there.
好，手就是这样子就是放在这个血脉上面，稍微用力的压住。
So we bring our fist to that pressure point and press it slightly.
这个左手的动作，左手动作就不动，就是这样子然后呢，同时就是这个右手的动作。
So that's what we do with our left hand. We press our left hand into the top of our left leg, and then with our right hand.
右手的动作也是一样，我们的大拇指摁住这个倒数第二个手指的指根这个根这个地方摁住。
So with our right hand, it's the same. We bring our thumb to the base of our fourth finger and press it there.
然后呢，除了这个食指以外，其他的3个手指就放在这个大拇指上面，这样子食指伸出来。
And we fold our 3 fingers over our thumb and make a fist, but extend our index finger.
然后手心这样子朝上，放在膝盖上面。
We turn our hand over and rest the back of our hand on our right knee.
好，先放在膝盖上。
So everyone, rest your right hand on your right knee.
然后我们这个右手的这个手指这样子压住这个右边的鼻孔摁住这个鼻孔。
And then bring the tip of your index finger to your right nostril and press it closed.
好，压住之前深深的吸一口气。
Or rather, before pressing the nostril, take a deep breath.
吸了气，然后就压住。
And then press the nostril close.
然后从左边的这个鼻孔这个气排出去，就是这样子。
And then expel the breath through your left nostril.
这样子一次，然后一次完了以后呢，再松开以后再深深的吸一口气。
So after having done that one time, then relax, take your hand away, and then take another deep breath for a second time.
然后再压住，再排气，这样子1次、2次、3次。
And press your nostril close, and then exhale, expel the air. In total, we do this 3 times.
那这个时候最重要的就是我们的观相。
During this process, the most important thing is our visualization.
观相什么呢？我们观相从无始以来我们所造的所有的罪过还有就是我们的这个杂念各种各样的杂念，各种各样的烦恼都变成了一个黑色的气体这个黑色的气体呢，又黑又脏，这样子的黑色的气体，然后从我们的左边的鼻孔排出去，排到身体的外面。
So during this process, the visualization we do is to visualize all of our negative karma that we have accumulated since beginningless time, as well as all of our negative thoughts and afflictions. We visualize these to take the form of a black vapor, a filthy black vapor. And we then visualize ourselves expelling this black vapor through our left nostril into the outside air.
然后呢，我们这个3个拍气完了以后呢，我们左右手的动作换左右手动作换，左手右手这样子摁住，然后呢，左手就摁住左边的这个鼻孔，然后呢吸气，然后排气，都是一样的，1、2、3。
So after we've done that on the first side, then we swap to the other side and do exactly the same thing. So our right fist is pressed into the top of the fold at the top of our right leg. We bring our left hand to close our left nostril, and we exhale through our right nostril, and we do this 3 times.
观想也是一样。
And the visualization is exactly the same.
然后最后一次呢，我们的左手和右手都是这样子的拳头，然后呢摁住左右手同时摁住，这样子。
After we have completed that second set, then we move on to the third set, and this time we make fists with both of our hands and press them into the fold at the top of either leg.
摁住我们左腿和右腿腿根的这个经脉和动脉这2个血脉上面。
We press our fists into the pressure point in the fold of the top of either leg.
这为什么要这样子呢？这样子就能够控制我们的很多的杂念。
The reason we do this is that it helps us to be able to control much of our thought activity.
至少有很大的帮助。
Or at least is helpful in this regard.
好，然后左右手都是摁住了以后呢，然后我们从左边和这个右边2个鼻孔同时深深的吸一口气。
So after we've pressed our fists into the top of either leg, we then take a deep breath through both nostrils.
然后吸了气以后，然后我们左右2个鼻孔同时这个排出去
And then after having exhaled deeply, we expel the breath through both nostrils.
排出去的时候呢，这个观想是一样的，我们观想我们的所有的烦恼、所有的杂念都变成了有黑有脏的气体，然后就排出去排到体外。
And the visualization we do is the same. We visualize all of our negative karma, negative thoughts, negative emotions, taking the form of a black vapor that we expel outside our bodies.
然后最后我们再观想我们的身体就是变成了一个非常非常透明非常纯洁干净，就像一个玻璃杯就像一个玻璃杯洗得干干净净一样，把所有东西杂念全部排到体外变成一个非常透明非常清净的身体这是我们的要这样子观想。
And then the final part of this visualization is to visualize ourselves in having expelled this black vapor, to visualize our bodies now as pure and transparent, as clear and as clean as a freshly washed glass.
这个完了以后呢，然后我们这是第2个步骤第1个步骤是身体的姿势，第2个步骤就是这个排除这个杂念，清理杂念现在是第3个步骤。
So that concludes our second step. In total, there are 3 steps. The first step was attending to our bodily posture. The second was expelling breath. And now we move on to the third step.
第3个步骤呢第3个步骤是我们这个头顶这头顶就观想一个莲花座。
for the third step, what we visualize at the top of our head is a lotus seat.
然后观想了莲花座以后，这个莲花座上面呢，我们在观想本师释迦牟尼佛观想一尊释迦牟尼佛。
And once we have visualized this lotus seat, we go on to visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni sitting upon it.
释迦牟尼佛，我们可以观想就像不是朝着我们就面朝前面面朝前面，就跟我们是一个方向。
So the way that we visualize the Buddha is we visualize the Buddha in a way where he is sitting in the same direction as we are. So he is facing away from us.
有些时候我们会观想佛面朝我们。
Sometimes when we visualize the Buddha, we visualize him facing us.
这个时候呢，佛可以面朝前面，跟我们一样的方向。
But in this exercise, we visualize the Buddha facing away from us.
好，然后这个观想了以后这个观想不一定是非常非常的清楚如果实在是观想不到很清楚很清晰这样子的话，那我们就心里想我头顶现在有一尊这个释迦牟尼佛，这样子心里想也是可以的。
So if we're not able to visualize the Buddha with great clarity and lucidity, then that's okay. We just, in this case, we can simply think to ourselves that there is a Buddha at the crown of our head.
然后我们念这个释迦牟尼佛的心咒或者是佛的名号。
And from now we then go on to recite either the heart mantra of the Buddha.
就像释迦牟尼佛的这个名号，就是南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
Or the Dharani of the Buddha.
也有藏文版的这个名号也可以。
And it's fine if we recite this in the Chinese version or in the Tibetan version.
还有就是心咒达雅塔玛哈玛那耶娑哈，这个也是佛的心咒。
Or we can recite the heart mantra of the Shakyamuni Buddha.
都可以的，这些都可以念。
All of these are recitations that we can do.
然后这个就是念这个咒的时候我们向释迦牟尼佛祈请向释迦牟尼佛祈请。
So while we perform these recitations, we pray or supplicate the Buddha.
祈请什么呢祈祷释迦牟尼佛为我加持加持我能够在这一座当中修除禅定修出，比如说我们在念佛的话，那能够念佛念得好，或者是修禅定的时候呢祈祷释迦牟尼佛加持我在这一座当中能够修出禅定这样子的这个祈祷。
And the prayer that we make to the Buddha is to bless us in this meditation session to achieve good results in whatever our meditation practice is. So if we are reciting the Buddha's name, then we ask the Buddha to bless us to be able to do this effectively. If we are seeking to achieve meditative stability, then we would supplicate the Buddha to grant us his blessing so that we may perform this meditation effectively too.
然后这个祈祷的这个时间不需要很长大概5分钟到10分钟这样子的时间。
We don't need to spend too long on this stage of the practice of praying to the Buddha. 5 or 10 minutes would be enough.
也可以根据我们打坐的时间的长短来安排稍微时间稍微长一点短一点都没问题的。
We can adjust the time that we spend on this stage of the practice according to the overall time of our meditation session, so we can make it longer or shorter depending.
然后这个我们祈祷完了以后呢，我们观想释迦牟尼佛的这个身体的这个边缘，就是像左边、右边下面这个边缘开始慢慢的变成光。
And after having prayed or supplicated the Buddha, we then go on to visualize the edges of the Buddha, the right and left side, the front and back, to begin emitting light.
然后最后这个释迦牟尼佛的整个的身体全部就变成一个很小很小的一个光光点，就像一个一粒佛珠一颗豌豆这么小的一个光的亮点。
And then gradually we visualize that the entire Buddha becomes just a bead of light, no bigger than a prayer bead or a small pea.
然后这个光从我们头顶的这个泛穴这个地方就进入我们的身体。
And then after we have visualized the Buddha becoming this very small bead of light, we then visualize it entering our body through the crown of our head and then slowly descending through our body, down through our body.
然后这个光就是到了我们的心口这个位置这个位置的时候呢，然后这个光跟我们的意识融为一体，最后就是变成了无二无别。
And then we visualize this bead of light slowly descending until it reaches our heart chakra. And at this point, we then visualize this bead of light mingling with our own mind and becoming inseparable from it.
这个光实际上就是代表佛的智慧，实际上就是佛的智慧。那么现在佛的智慧跟我们的意识跟我们的心最后就是变成一体融为一体。
So this bead of light, in fact, represents the Buddha's wisdom. It's the Buddha's wisdom. So at the end of this exercise, the Buddha's wisdom has become inseparable from our own minds or consciousnesses.
然后呢，我们心里不去想任何的事情，把所有的念头抛弃不去想过去，不去思考过去，不去思考未来，然后呢，当下的心也就平静下来就是不去思考任何的事情没有任何的念头，在一个这样子的状态当中平静下来。
After this, we then abide in a state of giving no thought to anything, no thoughts of the past, no thoughts of the future, no thoughts of the present. And so we simply bring our mind into a state of calmness and rest in this state.
然后这个没有念头、没有杂念的这个非常非常平静的这个状态当中安住一段时间。
And in this state of no thoughts, this state of tranquility, we abide for a period of time.
这个一段时间一段时间有多长呢？也许是3分钟也许是半分钟。
How long this period of time is may vary. It could be 3 minutes, it might just be half a minute.
就是我们平静下来了以后还没有产生第二个这个念头第二个念头的这个中间就是我们停留的这个时间。
The time or the length of time that we abide in this state is that between the time that we bring our mind into a state of calmness, and the point of arising of the next thought.
因为我们刚刚开始这个修禅定，所以这个时间是不会很长的，很短很快就会产生第二个念头。
If we've just begun to learn meditation practice, then this period of time will be extremely short. As soon as we calm down our minds, a new thought will arise very quickly.
第二个念头开始的时候呢，然后我们就可以停止这个修法，不需要再继续。
As soon as the next thought arises, then we can continue with our subsequent meditation. It's not necessarily to repeat it.
这一上我们刚才讲了3个步骤：身体的姿势，还有排除污气还有就是这个观想佛、祈祷佛，这3个步骤大家一定要记住。这个我们以后修任何一个禅修前面就需要这3个步骤。
So these 3 preparatory steps, number 1, attending to our bodily posture. Number 2, expelling negative breath or negative thoughts, And number 3, praying or supplicating the Buddha, are steps that everyone should remember. Before engaging in any kind of meditation practice, we should begin with these 3 steps of preparation.
还有在这个上面呢，我们还要加一个什么呢？就是发菩提心发菩提心，我们不管是打坐、念佛做任何善事，这个之前必须要有菩提心。
And there's one extra thing that we need to add on top of these 3 steps, and that is generating bodhicitta. Prior to engaging in meditation or reciting the Buddha's name or doing any kind of virtuous action, we first need to generate or arouse bodhicitta.
这一项就叫做禅修的前行前行就是前提的条件一定要具备必须要具备的最基础的条件，所以我们禅修的时候必须要这样子一步一步进入禅修的主体才能够心静得下来。
So these 3 stages taken together are referred to as the preliminaries or preparation stages of meditation practice. These are the preparatory conditions or the fundamental conditions that we need to have in order to engage in meditation. Only by entering into our main meditation through these steps in a gradual way is our mind able to be brought into a state of calmness.
如果没有这些步骤直接去打坐那这个效果不会很好的。
If we don't apply these preparation steps but just enter straight into our main meditation practice, then the results we have won't be particularly good.
除了效果不好，还有就是我们这样子直接打坐，这个就是不完整这个打坐是不完整。
It's not just that the results from our practice won't be so good, but this meditation session won't be complete.
这个当然是藏传佛教里面讲的打坐的这个方法。
Of course, what I've just outlined are methods for meditation methods or approaches in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition.
发菩提心，还有这个身体的姿势这些呢，不管是藏传佛教、汉传佛教，什么佛教都需要的。
However, giving rise to bodhicitta and attending to our bodily posture is something that is required no matter of what Buddhist tradition we're practicing in, whether it be Tibetan Buddhism or Chinese Buddhism or another tradition.
好，接下来我们就开始这个进入禅修的主题。
So after having completed these 3 steps, we now enter into the main practice.
那禅修的主题，我们今天在这里就是讲一个禅经禅经双运，就是禅同时有这个禅定的意义也有这个念佛的有这个念佛的这个意思内容，有两个都具备的一个这样子的禅修，给大家介绍。
So the meditation method that I'd like to share with everyone today is a combined Chan and Pure Land meditation approach. So that means that it has two functions. On the one hand, we cultivate meditative concentration, and on the other hand, we also engage in Pure Land practice.
然后今天我们讲的这个禅修是显宗和密宗共用的，他们都显宗里面也有这样子的修法，然后密宗里面呢也有这样的修法，所以它是一个显密共用的修法。
This practice or method that I'm going to share with everyone is one that exists in the Sutric tradition. It also exists in the Tantric tradition too. So it's a practice that's common to both traditions.
那这样子，首先我们这个观想的时候或者是修禅的时候呢，我们有两种方法，一个是禅修的时候，我们就是借助一个外面的这个力量，也就是说依靠一个外在的力量，然后呢通过这个外在的力量把我们的心静下来，有一个是这样子的方法。
So, regardless of whether it's visualization practice or another practice for cultivating meditative concentration, one way is to make use of an external object in order to bring our mind into a state of calmness.
然后第二个方法呢，不需要外面的这个力量，外在的力量，就是让我们的心让它自己沉淀下来，让它自己平静有这样子的两种方法。
The second approach is one that doesn't rely on an external object or some kind of external power, but rather entails bringing the mind into a state of calmness itself, or allowing the mind to settle into a state of calmness itself.
那我们今天就是讲的给大家介绍的就是有外在的这个力量的这种禅修。
But the method that I am sharing today is one that relies on an external object.
通过外在的力量禅修这个方法呢也有很多不同的方法。那我们其中是给大家介绍一个最简单的方法。
As for meditation methods that rely on external objects, there are many. The kind that I'm going to introduce today is a very simple one.
首先我们把一个佛像放在我们的前面，我们打坐的时候就放在我们的前面。
To begin with, we take an image of the Buddha and we place it in front of us.
这个佛像比如说像唐卡壁画这样子的佛像也可以，或者是像这个塑像也可以，都可以的。
As for the image that we place in front of us, it can be in the form of a tanka or some other kind of painting. It can also take the form of a statue.
那我们念佛的时候呢，这个佛像应该是用阿弥陀佛的佛像。
When we are reciting the Amitabha Buddha's name, we should have in front of us an image of the Amitabha Buddha.
首先我们请一尊这个阿弥陀佛的佛像，然后开光。
The first thing to do is acquire an image of the Amitabha Buddha and then to have it consecrated.
然后我们就放在我们大桌的前面。
And we place it in front of us.
前面的这个告和地啊，就是正好我们打坐这样子可以真实的地方啊，这样子的地方啊，就放在这个方向啊，这个前面啊，佛像面朝我们自己这样子。
As to the height at which we place the image, it should be directly in front of us, directly in front of our gaze, and it should be turned to face us.
然后这个佛像的前面啊，我们就摆设啊一些简单的供品。
And in front of the image or below the image, we should place some simple objects of offering.
好，然后呢，阿弥陀佛的佛像放在前面，开始修这个禅定。
So having placed the image of the Amitabha Buddha in front of us, we then begin the meditation.
如果我们想放释迦牟尼佛的佛像，或者是其他的本尊的，就像金刚萨埵呀、莲花生大师呀等等，也是可以的。
If we'd prefer to place an image of the Shakyamuni Buddha or another meditation deity such as Vajrasattva or Guru Rinpoche, then this would also be okay.
但是念佛的时候呢，还是最好放阿弥陀佛的佛像。
But when we are reciting the Amitabha Buddha's name, it's best that we use an image of the Amitabha Buddha.
阿弥陀佛佛像放在前面，然后呢，我们就是把我们刚才讲的这个第一个步骤、第二个步骤、第三个步骤全部做完了以后，现在我们用这个阿弥陀佛的佛像开始修禅定。
So having placed the Amitabha image in front of us, we complete the 3 preparation stages that we just went through before, and then we begin to meditate on the image.
那我们怎么样用这个阿弥陀佛的佛像修禅定呢？
How do we exactly go about using this image, though, to meditate?
这是我们的两只眼睛看着阿弥陀佛的心间定在阿弥陀佛的心间。
We bring both of our eyes to look at the point of the heart chakra on the image of Amitabha Buddha.
然后非常非常专注的看佛的心间。
And we look at his heart, or the point where his heart is, with great focus.
然后除了两只眼睛看这个佛的心间，专注这个佛的心间以外，然后我们的意识我们的心意识也就专注于这个佛的心间。
So besides simply focusing both of our eyes on the point at the Amitabha Buddha's heart, we bring our entire mind to focus on this point too.
把两只眼睛还有我们的意识这3个一动不动的就专注在这个佛的心间。
So our 2 eyes and our minds are totally focusing, totally concentrating on the point at the place of the Amitabha Buddha's heart.
非常认真的全神贯注的去这个安住去专注佛的心间。
And so with total diligence and concentration, we focus on this point.
但是这个时候呢，我们就不需要去思考不需要去思考任何的事情。
There's no need for us to give thought to anything.
也不祈祷。
We don't need to pray.
把所有的善的、恶的全部的这个杂念都停止，都放下来。
All of our thoughts, whether they be positive or negative, we need to let go of.
特别的专心的安住在佛的这个心口。
With great concentration, we need to rest our attention on the Amitabha Buddha's heart.
那到底什么叫做这个专注呢？
But what do we really mean by focus?
专注、安住这样子的词的这个意思，可能有些人还不太明白。
These words like to rest or abide, maybe many people don't completely understand what we mean here.
进一步的讲的话，这个除了我们的两只眼睛看这个佛的心界以外，然后我们内心当中什么都不想所有念头放下来，这就叫做专注在佛的心界。
So when we say to abide in our focus on the Buddha's heart, we mean that besides, in addition to both of our eyes fixing with total concentration on this space, our minds have no thoughts whatsoever. Our minds relinquish all thought activity.
实际上我们的两只眼睛看佛的心界，然后心里没有任何的杂念，心里什么也不想而已。
So what we're really meaning is that both of our eyes are fixed on the Amitabha Buddha's heart and that our mind is not thinking of anything whatsoever.
这个叫做专注或者是安住。
So that's what we mean when we talk about focusing or abiding.
那这个时候呢，我们把佛像就可以作为一个我们的心的一个我们的意识的一个专注点。
So this Buddha image that we have in front of us is able to serve as a point of focus or point of concentration for our mind.
就像我们的两只眼睛还有我们的这个意识全部锁定在这个佛的心界。
And it serves us to fix both of our eyes and our minds on this image, and particularly the point at the heart of the image.
锁定了以后呢，有些时候效果比较好的时候呢，就是在一个短短的时间当中我们就不会有任何的念头。
So in fixing our eyes and our mind on this image, sometimes when we experiencing good results in our meditation, then within just a short period of time, we will experience a state of no thought activity at all.
可以保持一个非常这个平静的状态。
And we'll be able to maintain a very tranquil, calm state.
这个状态不会很久只有很短的时间当中才可以有这样子的这个状态它不会保持很久。
But this state will not last for a very long period of time. It usually only is something we can maintain for a short time.
这个是为什么呢？就是因为我们刚刚开始修禅所以它只能保持一个短短的时间。
And the reason for this is because we've only begun with our meditation practice. So in the beginning stages, we're only able to maintain this state for a relatively short time.
但是这个短短的时间我们每一个人都可以感受到、感觉到，这是一个非常平静的状态。
But even within this short time, everyone is able to gain a experience of how calm this state is.
然后这个时候这个短短的这个时间，不管是有30秒钟，或者是1分钟，或者5分钟这个时间短就叫做禅定。
Regardless of how short the period of time is that we are able to maintain this state for, whether it's 30 seconds or 1 minute or 5 minutes, this length of time we refer to as meditation or meditative concentration.
这个时候这个一个短短的时间当中，我们的这个意识它就离开了这些各种各样的杂念。
And for this short duration of time, our mind leaves various kinds of discursive thoughts.
然后我们就会感觉得到这个是我们的心的一个最平静的这个状态很平静，很轻松也是应该是讲这个很自由自在这样子的这个状态，我们的心就进入一个，我们的意识就会进入一个这样子的状态。
And we will be able to experience that within this short period of meditation, that our minds find a state that is very calm, relaxed, natural, and free.
这个短短的时间虽然时间不会很长但是呢，因为它没有杂念离开了所有的这个杂念，所以呢，这个我们作为一个初学者，也就可以把它我们可以把它叫做初步的最初步的禅定的状态。
So even though in the beginning this period of time will only be very short, that is this period of time with no thought activity, still we can identify this as the very initial stages of achieving meditative concentration or stability.
这个禅定除了能够帮助我们心平静下来以外，还有很大的功德，可以积累很大的这个福报，这个是佛经上有很明显的记载。
Besides helping us to bring our minds into a state of calmness, this practice also accumulates a great deal of positive merit. This is something that is clearly explained in the Buddhist sutras.
这个时候呢，我们虽然还没有证悟大圆满，没有证悟大受因，没有证悟这个空性但是呢，我们的心完全可以就做到一个非常平静它完全可以进入一个非常平静的状态。
So even though in this state our mind has not yet realized the meaning of the great completion or Mahamudra or emptiness, nevertheless it's possible in this state for our minds to be extremely calm and still.
佛教的这个阿毗达摩里面讲了很多不同层次的这个禅定。
So within the Abhidharma teachings of Buddhism, many different levels of meditative concentration are explained.
那我们的这个初步的这个禅定呢，还不能属于这个阿毗达摩里面讲的这些比较标准的禅定。
This initial stage of meditative concentration that we've just described here doesn't yet amount to the more standardized levels of meditative concentration that are explained in the Abhidharma scriptures.
但是它可以帮助我们心静下来，没有太多的烦恼然后呢，内心不怎么浮躁这些都有这个有这个能力。
However, this state can be of assistance to us nevertheless by making our minds calm without agitation or restlessness.
通过这种方法我们的心稍微平静下来了以后呢，然后我们再进一步的去修，在这个基础上进一步的去可以修其他的这个禅修。
Once we have used this method to bring our minds into a state of calmness, then we can practice other methods of meditation on this foundation.
然后有些时候我们除了看这个佛的心见以外，就看这个佛像的这个整体。
Sometimes when doing this meditation, we might choose not to focus on the point at the Buddha's heart, but rather to focus on the entire body of the Buddha, the entire image.
然后念佛在这个时候如果想念佛的话心非常非常的平静不去动它，不去扰乱它，在这个不去扰乱的前提下可以念佛。
And it's possible for us then in this state to go about reciting the Buddha's name. But when we recite the Buddha's name, we should do so with an extremely calm mind, a mind that is not disturbed or agitated at all.
这个时候非常专注专心这个阿弥陀佛，然后就念佛念阿弥陀佛的名号。
So with complete or total concentration on the Amitabha image, we can then go about reciting the Amitabha Buddha's name.
这个念佛就叫做一心不乱一心这个净土净土里面呢讲一心不乱的念佛，就是这样子，我们心不乱，没有其他的杂念专心的念佛。
So this kind of recitation of the Amitabha Buddha's name is described in the Pure Land tradition as recitation with complete concentration of the mind.
然后我们大多数的时间我们的心就在专注在佛的心间。
So we spend the majority of our time focusing our mind on the heart of the Amitabha Buddha.
然后有些时候呢，看佛像的脸部，还有这个身体的其他的部分。
But sometimes we can look at the Buddha's face, look at the Buddha's body.
这样子，这个时间稍微这个慢慢的延长。
And slowly we can extend the length of time for which we do this.
一开始的时候呢，我们没有办法延长这个时间就很短，就有一个杂念出来了以后呢就被这个杂念剪短了，没办法保持很久。
To begin with, it won't be possible to lengthen this period of abiding in calmness for too long because immediately thoughts will arise.
然后时间长了以后呢就逐渐的开始是2分钟，然后是5分钟，然后是10分钟，这样子可以逐渐的可以延长。
But gradually we'll be able to lengthen this time of calm abiding from 1 minute to 10 minutes to 2 minutes and eventually to 10 minutes.
这个一心不乱的这个禅定它到底有什么用呢？它主要是比如说我们像在这个墙壁上我们想画个壁画，这样子的话，首先我们把这个墙壁的这个弄好把它做个很平的光滑的这样子以后呢，在这个上面可以绘画一样首先我们把我们的心让它变得比较平静，然后在这个平静的基础上去修其他的，这样子效果就好。
So you might ask, what is the benefit of this meditation style that entails total concentration? Well, we can liken it to doing a painting on a wall. First, we need to prepare the surface. We need to make it even. We need to make it smooth. And then against this backdrop, we can do a painting. So it's the same with this meditation. We first use it to make our minds calm. And then on this foundation, we can do other meditation practices.
然后有些时候呢，我们以强大的信心祈祷阿弥陀佛，祈请阿弥陀佛。
And then from time to time, we can supplicate or pray to the Amitabha Buddha with great devotion.
那祈祷阿弥陀佛的时候呢，我们的心里就懂了一个念头了，就产生了一个念头，产生了祈祷阿弥陀佛的念头。
Of course, when we pray or supplicate to the Amitabha Buddha, then our minds give rise to a thought, and that is the thought of praying to the Amitabha Buddha.
但是只有这个祈祷阿弥陀佛的念头，它不会有太多的这些杂念不会很乱。
But aside from giving rise to the thought of praying to the Amitabha Buddha, our minds won't experience other thoughts of other kinds, and so our minds won't become too disturbed.
然后正在祈祷阿弥陀佛的时候呢，他也一方面可以祈祷，一方面他可以保持平静的状态。
So when we are praying to the Amitabha Buddha, on the one hand we can be praying or supplicating, and on the other hand we can still be maintaining a state of calmness.
这些我们讲的这些平静这些都是还没有证悟的时候的这个平静它不是大圆满大手印都不是，它只是我们的心平静而已还没有证悟。
So when we talk about our mind being calm or still in this context, we are referring to a pre-enlightenment level of calmness or stillness. So this is a mind that has not yet realized the meaning of Dzogchen or Mahamudra. It's simply bringing the mind into a state of calmness.
虽然没有证悟但是呢这种一心不乱也就是这个也是有很多的帮助，让我们的心平静下来就是减少各种各样的烦恼，然后我们的心就不会那么的这个浮躁这都有帮助，这些方面都有帮助。
Even though this kind of state of mind is not yet the enlightened mind, nevertheless, this meditation using total concentration has many benefits. It enables us to settle our mind, to make it calm, and to reduce all kinds of mental agitation and disturbances.
这样子以后呢，这个禅定的这个主题的这个禅修的时间是可以根据我们自己的时间来定20分钟、半个小时、1个小时都可以的。
As to the total length of time that we devote to one meditation session, we can really adjust this according to our own schedule. So we can say do it for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour.
然后在这个当中呢，我们也就不断的就是念佛，念南无阿弥陀佛几个字。
But throughout the entire process, we continue reciting the Amitabha Buddha's name.
这个时候念佛的同时能够关注我们自己的心，这样子的话，虽然我们的嘴巴在动，在念佛，但是呢，心可以保持很平静的，内心可以不动。
So even though we are constantly reciting the Buddha's name throughout this meditation, nevertheless our mind can remain completely calm throughout.
最后这个禅定结束了以后呢，然后最后就是需要做一个回向。
And then at the end of this meditation session, we conclude with a dedication of merit.
回向的意思就是说，我们把这一座当中这一个这个大座的过程当中所产生的这个善这个善根分享给天下所有的众生。
By dedication of merit, what we mean is that we share with all beings the roots of virtue that we have generated through this session of meditation.
然后就是希望通过这个善根能让 所有的众生就是健康长寿幸福快乐，然后最后能够从这个轮回当中获得解脱成佛，或者是往生西方极乐世界。
And give rise to the wish that these roots of virtue will enable all beings to enjoy health, long life, happiness and joy, and finally to achieve liberation from cyclic existence, to achieve Buddhahood or rebirth in Amitabha's Pure Land.
然后做任何这个回向最好的这个回向文就是普贤行愿品。
Of all the dedication prayers that we can do, the absolute best is the aspiration of Samantabhadra.
然后普贤行愿品有藏文版、汉文版、英文版也应该有的，就念把这个普贤行愿品不多就把这个念完。
This particular prayer exists in Tibetan, Chinese, and probably English. So, in doing the dedication, we recite this prayer.
然后平时除了这个普贤行愿品以外，我们还可以念一些这个往生西方极乐世界的这个发愿文，原文也叫做极乐原文。
And aside from this particular prayer of dedication, the aspiration of Samantabhadra, we can also recite other aspirations to rebirth in Amitabha's Pure Land, prayers of this nature.
然后这个往生西方极乐世界的原文在藏传佛教里面呢是很多的有稍微长一点的、短一点的，都有很多非常好的这个原文。
Prayers for aspiring for rebirth in Amitabha's Pure Land, there are many in the Tibetan tradition. There are shorter versions and longer versions.
在藏传佛教里面，大家公认的非常有加持力的、非常全面的这个极乐原文是羌美仁波切这是一位非常好的成就者一个上师他写的极乐原文这个是在藏传佛教里面是大家公认的非常好的一个极乐原文如果有英文版的话就可以念汉文版已经有了。
In terms of these prayers for rebirth in Amitabha's Pure Land in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, that which is considered to be the prayer with the greatest blessing power and the most comprehensive or all-encompassing prayer liturgy is that which was composed by Chagme Rinpoche, who was a great realized master in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And so to read this would be very good. It exists in Chinese language version, and if it exists in English, then this would be a good liturgy to recite.
然后每一次大座结束的时候，然后我们呢就往回就是要观察一下，自我观察一下，我这一次的大座的这个整个的过程做得怎么样自己要观察。
And then at the conclusion of each meditation session, we also need to do a short self-assessment. We need to ask ourselves how we did throughout the entire session of meditation.
如果有些时候呢，我们这个一座当中整个的这一座当中都是各种各样的杂念就是整个的状态都是特别糟糕那这个时候呢，我们会有点失落甚至这个失望，就是觉得我对这个禅修没有这个因缘，我可能是修不上去有些时候就会有这样子的失落感。
There will be times when our one entire meditation session is just full of discursive thoughts. There's a great deal of thought activity and our condition is really not good. And it's possible that in times like this we will feel at a bit of a loss, we will feel disappointed, perhaps that we don't have the karmic fate for this particular meditation practice and that we won't be able to succeed in it.
有失落感的时候，要鼓励自己，要告诉自己啊，我这一做虽然这个没有做好啊，但是这很正常啊，因为我是一个这个初学者，很正常啊，这没关系啊，我下一次努力就可以了啊，就是这个不需要失落，不需要失望啊，这样子鼓励自己。
But at times like this, when we feel at a bit of a loss or we feel disappointed with ourselves, then it's really important to give ourselves encouragement by telling ourselves that we might not have done so well in this session, but this is normal because we are only starting out. And this isn't a problem. In the future, we'll continue to work hard, and this is how we should give ourselves encouragement.
然后有些时候呢，我们观察的时候会发现啊，这一做啊，整个的这个过程都是很不错的啊。就这个时候呢，觉得啊，自己是不是啊，这个修行的境界就到了一定的这个程度了啊？这样子以后呢，就会容易啊，这个产生自满啊，就觉得我已经是比较不错了，了不起了啊，就是会这样子会产生这样子的这个烦恼。自满就是烦恼。
It's also possible, though, that we might have meditation sessions when everything is really going pretty well. And in cases like this, we might wonder whether we have perhaps reached a particular level of meditation practice. And it's possible in this kind of situation to give rise to the negative emotion of pride.
这个时候呢，要告诉自己啊，就是你在这一座当中啊表现不错啊，表现不错。虽然表现不错啊，但是这也没有什么了不起，就是这么一座是稍微修得好一点而已啊。你是不是有那么了不起？我看下一座你的表现啊，下一座是不是这样子啊？就这一座啊，稍微做得好一点，没有什么了不起啊，这样子就把自己的这个念头控制住啊，这个自满的这个控制，这样子以后呢，就保持一个比较平稳的心态啊，修行的过程当中啊，不要太高兴，不要太失落，这些都是障碍。
In this case, then, we need to tell ourselves that, well, it might have been in this session that we were not too bad in our meditation, but what's so good about this? This is only one meditation session after all. Let's see how we go in our next meditation session. And by thinking like this, we can control our sense of pride. So by doing this, by whenever we feel disappointed, by encouraging ourselves when we feel pride, kind of controlling that feeling, we are able to achieve a mind that is quite even in nature. Happiness and disappointment in excess are all obstacles for our meditation.
这些都做完了以后呢，就开始起坐就是打坐结束。
And after we have done all this, then we can conclude our meditation session.
好，今天我们的这个上午的课就讲到这里。还有就是在这个禅修的过程当中，有一些具体的方法，这些方法呢，我们可以在下午的课里边讲。
So we are going to finish our morning session now, and as for some further specifics concerning these meditation methods, we'll continue in this afternoon session.
好，我们现在大家一起来做一个回向。
So we're going to end now with a dedication of merit.
说能得一堂这是八年都内你别着南半些，这个那结瓦龙城八一，这边做连着啊周二修，我们阿红班子个这白马色的。我们阿红班子个是斑马色的，我们阿红班子个是斑马色的。